Three.
Hello, everyone. Sufit here with Charles B. Ticker, estate mediator from Sibling Disputes Mediation. Charles, I want to ask you something. You cannot turn on the TV, the radio, the internet today without the headlines being splashed all over Harry and Meghan, William and Harry. What's going on? Why are we so fascinated? How are they different than any other family?
Well, I think people just have this fascination with celebrity disputes and royalty because they look at this and say, well, look at even these celebrities and these royalty, they have problems like me too, and I can identify with that, and maybe they just like to dwell on other people's problems and takes them off from focusing on their own problems. But basically, we got a case here of a family that's obviously having some issues and two brothers that are having some issues. And that's not really a very unusual occurrence. But of course, this is all over the media, and this is the royal family. And so that's what makes it different. But at its core, if it's really not that different.
Okay, it's a tale of two brothers, and you see this every day in your mediation practice, formerly in your litigation practice, siblings fighting over estates. Now, we don't have an estate dispute here at this time, but a lot of the factors seem to be similar, don't they? Because I know one factor that I've heard you talking about is this Yoko Ono syndrome. Can you expand a little bit on this outsider idea?
Right, and I'm not suggesting that Yoko Ono, caused the Beatles to break up. I'm not going to go there, but I think what the state lawyers see and what I see in my practice as a mediator is that anytime another party is introduced into a mix, be a spouse or a partner, someone who's not there sharing the same DNA or the same history, there is always the potential for friction and for differences to occur. And I'm not suggesting that's what's happening here, but it's not uncommon to see the so-called outsider or outlaw, as I call them sometimes, come in with their sort of point of view and their agenda, and that complicates things, and it can cause some difficulties with the family and with the siblings.
Right. So your tagline, so your firm name is Sibling Disputes Mediation, but your tagline is because siblings are different. So tell us, Charles, how are siblings different? Why do you say that? Why is this different than any other dispute or state dispute in the case of your practice?
Well, there's no question that sibling relationships are very unique, and actually, in the my book, Bobby Gets Bupkis, a little shameless plug there. I have a quote from Erica Good talking about sibling relationships. If I could just maybe read it.
Sure. Yeah.
Sibling relationships, and 80% of Americans have at least one, outlast marriages, survive the death of parents, resurface after quarrels that would sink any friendship. They flourish in 1,000 incarnations of closeness and distance, warmth, loyalty, and distrust. So I think that really sums up very well the uniqueness of sibling relationships. So mediating a sibling dispute is not like mediating a wrongful dismissal, employment dispute. It's not a business dispute, and it's even different from a matrimonial dispute because siblings have known each other all their lives, and they're connected by DNA. And psychologists have theorized about this, that this is the potential for sibling disputes and sibling rivalry. We're hardwired for it, and they look to the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, even bacteria, all show displays of this negative sibling behavior from time to time. So it seems it's in our DNA, and that's what makes it unique, and it calls for a different approach.
Yeah, even going back to the Bible, you mentioned that in your book.
Yes, yeah, of course. You got Jacob and Esau, Cain and Abel, Joseph and his brothers. Yeah, so a lot of nasty sibling stories in the Bible, but very human stories. And even though some of them are extreme examples. So just to get back to the approach, when you're doing a mediation with sibling, and in the context of an estate dispute, it's not just about like you would do maybe in a personal injury matter, saying, okay, how much do you want, or how much money on the table. That's part of it, but you've got to go way back and dig deep and find out where these siblings came from. How did they grow up together? Anything happened in the past? Because sometimes, or not sometimes, quite often, that gives me a clue as to what's driving the dispute. So,
So,
so it's a very different approach.
so essentially what you're saying is that sometimes you have to go back before you can go forward.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, and I guess the other difference is we opened with saying that we can read all about this splashed on the headlines. How is that different than, let's say, two brothers who walk into your office with a typical estate dispute?
Well, because if they came into my office, they sign a mediation agreement where everyone agrees that everything's at the mediation's off the record and confidential. No one's going to disclose anything. And no one's going to go to the press or, put it on social media. It's private. And of course, what we're seeing here with William and Harry is a very public dispute. And that may be of their own doing, I don't know, or that may be simply beyond their control at this point. But
All right.
they probably would benefit from some mediation.
All right. Well, maybe there you go, William and Harry. So thank you very much, Charles. Our topic today has been the benefits of mediation, how siblings are different. Charles, thank you very much.
My pleasure.